Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I think we're about 1 or 2 people shy of quorums. If you know a friend in the neighborhood who's a member, if you could text them and have them run out, that would be appreciated. We are streaming this live on our Facebook page. That's what this guy is sitting in front of the speaker, and also is being recorded, which will be uploaded to our YouTube page after this as well. Hopefully, everyone got a copy of this packet with the agenda on the front, but we'll go ahead and start with our Cincinnati Police Department.
All right, did everybody get one of the crime stat sheets? Okay, so, good evening, and, first I would like to say, thank you for coming out, and, we're going, I'm Sergeant Seller. I was just about to say, you're used to seeing Officer Brown, but he no longer is in the, neighborhood unit, so we'll be getting a new officer in Madisonville, Officer Monique Martin, and she'll be starting on June the 25th. So as of today and to the 25th, I'll be handling everything Madisonville so that you guys won't lose any kind of police services since we are in the interim of transferring someone else in. Again, I'm Sergeant Sellers, and if you want to get in touch with me, I'll leave some of my cards up at the front table before I leave. So if you look at our crime report, for our part 1 crime, we did not have any homicides, thank God, no rapes. We've been doing pretty good on some of the serious crimes like homicide and rape. Robbery, no robberies. We had 1 aggravated assault. And I'm gonna read some of the particulars of some of the crimes that you have had. So, because I know a lot of people will have questions about, well, what happened there? So as far as our part 1 crimes, property crime, we had 3 burglaries. We had 2 auto thefts and 3 personal crime thefts and 6 auto thefts. So the 2 was from theft from autos. So some of the ones that I deemed important that you probably would want to know about, that you had an aggravated vehicular assault, and that took place on Palmetto Street. And it was people that knew each other. They were related, and basically one person attempted to run over the other person, so they knew each other. There was a felonious assault on Madison Road, the 6500 block, and that was where 2 groups of cars were shooting at each other, and that's kind of scary. But that took place at the 6500 block of Madison. For auto thefts, we had an attempt auto theft at the 4700 block of Plainville Road. Someone peeled the column out of a car that was sitting in the driveway. We had another attempted auto theft, 6000 block of Hurd, where a lady, she got up to go to work and her rear window on her passenger side was broken out and the column steering was peeled from the vehicle. Neither one of the cars were taken. There was an attempt to take it. Then we had a unauthorized use where the person knew the other person. They took the car that was on Settle Street. Under our burglary and B&Es, we had a burglary. There was no sign of forced entry, but it was subjects on the private property at the 5400 block of Kenwood Road. And I think that was one of the retirement homes over there. Then we had a home that was broken into, the 4600 block of Wetzel. Someone broke in and took through the screen door and took items out of the home, unknown suspects. There was another burglary at 6500 block of Palmetto, This one was kind of scary. The victim was sleeping on the couch and someone gained entry through a window and was able to take a TV out of a room, and it did not wake the person up. I don't know how, it didn't wake them up, but it did not wake the person up, and they woke up and found that the TV was stolen. We had an aggravated menacing on 5100 block of Ravenna Street. A lady was threatened with a gun. Somebody drove past her home. She was standing out on the porch and they pointed a gun at her. Unknown on suspect. She wasn't injured or anything. Interesting thing, she said maybe 10 minutes prior to that, somebody texted her daughter phone and threatened her daughter. So they thinking that there's some relation in that. There was also an aggravated menacing at 6700 block of Bramble Avenue. A suspect pulled a knife out on a known person. So it was two people that knew each other, and person pulled a knife out of. You had an improper discharge of a firearm into a habitation. So someone was on vacation, returned home, and there were bullet holes in their structure of their home. And that happened in 2 different residents on that street. Personal theft, someone took the tip jar out of one of the coffee shops on Wetzel. They don't know who did it. They didn't catch the person. There was also theft of Cadillac converters from the automotive repair shop on Madison. So those are, you know, the ones that stood out to me that I think you guys should be aware of. I just, you know, some of the tips that I would give people is look out for your neighbors, make sure you're checking on people. If you're going out of town, make sure you let a trusted person know that you're going out of town so that someone can look out for your property. You know, it's going to be hot, so make sure you check on neighbors, elderly neighbors. Some don't have air conditioning. Make sure you check on people. If you see something, again, say something. I wanted to also, Captain, if you want to come up, we're going to be rolling out, because of all of these crimes like this in Madisonville, we decided to choose Madisonville as our next CPOP project for District 2. And what that means is we use the Sarah model to deal with all of the violent crimes and hotspots in Madisonville, but it's a concerted effort from also the citizens. So there's a portion of that project where we elicit you all in the community to come up with a project, and you guys really spearhead it and you do it, and the police kind of assist you in that. We'll work on the crime portion of it. We'll do things that some of the same stuff that we're already doing, such as we're doing PVO, hotspot PVOs, where we're having officers flooded into the area. Some of the areas where there are burglaries happening and things of that nature, theft from autos, we're gonna have officers in that area. So we also gonna have another special meeting where we wanna get ideas from you all on how, and it's probably gonna be here at the rec center, on how we can come up with a project and on some of the concerns that we should target. And if you have some concerns, you can call me, or you leave it on my voicemail. If I'm not there, I'll leave my card up there. If you say, I want to see to address this issue or that issue, that's what that special meeting will be about. So make sure you tell your neighbors. We haven't come up with a date yet, but I'll talk with the community council to see what would be a good date to bring all the citizens here to talk about the CPOP project. And it's just not a good time to try to bring it up here, but I just want you to know that that's what we're going to be doing to try to address some of these serious crimes and things that are happening in Madisonville. Captain, would you like to add to that?
I'm Captain Benita for this District 2 Captain. I don't have a whole lot to add to what Sergeant Sellers said. She pretty much extensively covered everything, so I don't want to backtrack and repeat everything that she said. But as she kind of alluded to, we will be soliciting ideas from you guys, community council, and certainly soliciting your cooperation, collaboration, input. So as she mentioned, just reach out to her if you have ideas between now and the time of
we verified, when we identify problems, we analyze it, we put it, we come up with how ways that we can respond to some of the serious crimes that are happening in the area. These top projects are then posted and we present. I would be invited to come down and present the National DOT top project. So it's a big deal, and it's about 3 months, 4 months of work, strictly a Madison deal. I mean, we just like Oakley, we did it in Oakley. This is in Oakley and Benton, we made a big hit in that, and you know, again. So I was asked if you come up with, I've already talked with Patty about the event that will take place August 2019. For Family Day, that was gonna be, yeah.
Two questions. First question. Captain Jones, a couple years ago, the left turn on to Plainville from Bramble, it's got a no left turn. And it seems like every third or fourth car is making a left turn there. I would say either eliminate the sign and let them go, or let's, I mean, maybe have a little bit of enforcement over there. But there's, I mean, I think Kim had I've seen you the other day, you came through, if you know where I'm talking about.
I know.
And I haven't seen enforcement. I mean, not that I'm looking for.
I was just going, comment.
One more.
That's how you get enforcement, like that you're bringing it to our attention and making a complaint about it. Sergeant Sellers tomorrow, when she goes to work, will complete what we call a 305, which is going to give directed patrol attention to that particular intersection for a period of anywhere from 10 to 14 days. So hopefully it'll have a deterrent effect if we go over there and do some traffic enforcement. It generally kind of cools that area off for a while, and then maybe, you know, a month or so, you got to come back and do it again. So, but what you're doing, that's how you generate to get, you know, an officer to give specific attention to that.
And finally, there was a party, which I think it was a nice party, but the parking in Bramble Park, when you come in, I don't think you can, when they have these events, they park on both sides. One side has got no parking. I think we need to put a fire lane and start enforcing it. Because if you had to get a fly squad or a fire truck into Bramble Park when they have one of these events, you couldn't. It would be a disaster. If you have an event that maybe gets out of control, I don't know how, but if you look at that, there's no parking on the right side, but it doesn't say fire lane. And I think once in a while, just have the police come in and maybe, because these events we're having more and more of, and there's more and more people showing up. I think we can utilize the Bramble School parking lot. So it can be real nice. Hey, there's some extra parking across the road that you can use. So just an idea before we have a tragic situation at Bramble.
Well, I'll say two things to that. Obviously, we can certainly do some additional, give some additional attention to that particular area during the time specifically. I think you're saying when events are happening or when there's a lot of activity there in the park. I believe the fire department sometimes attends these meetings. I don't see anybody from CFD here tonight, but if the request is for a fire lane, then that might be something that needs to be on their radar, that's something that the community council has kind of researched and are requesting. And then sometimes they'll come out and do just like a traffic study or to see all the ins and outs of, is it appropriate? Is that, you know, something that's needed for that area? So that would kind of be more in the fire department lane, but we could certainly assist in making recommendations because of the problems that you're referring to.
Thank y'all for being here and thank you for your service. A few months ago, the Matamore had a lot of car break-ins. They have since put a fence in. We just had a little bit of data, which was no break-ins after they put the fence up. Was just curious if any of the statistics that you brought to us tonight include, or if there have been any car break-ins at the Matamore.
One more question up front. Good.
At the end of last year, you had Sarah training for people in leadership. I was unable to attend it. Will you be having that again? Okay.
All right, if that's all, appreciate thank you for coming out. Yep. Okay, so we do officially have quorum now, so I can call this to order. Okay. Yeah. The question is, okay, so our bylaws state that somebody who pays their dues, they are an active member 30 days after payment of dues. Question is just to clarify to make sure that is the case. Okay, so these are former members who paid their dues. Now they are not a new member. Okay. So yeah, the total number of active members you have present. What is the total number of active members present? Double check. We have 5 board members and 15 active members. Oh, okay, so that'd be 16. Because Monica got here before we had the sign sheets out. All right. Okay, so I can call the meeting to order. So if you don't mind joining me in a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. And if you don't mind standing and joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. So physically, if you're comfortable to stand, you don't have to. Pledge allegiance to the flag. One nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, okay, and in the packet was last month's meeting minutes, as well as that special meeting that we had here, as well as the treasurer's report. So if there are no questions, we'll approve that and have that filed, and then move to public administration announcements, which we will go to our brand new branch manager of our local Hamilton County Public Library.
Good evening, all. Speaking of new faces, right? I'm sure many of you, I would hope many of you have been to the new Madisonville Branch Library. We're located in the development there in the corner of Wetzel and Madison. My name is Mariah Kennedy English. I'm very excited to be here. Tiny little bit of background about me. I've worked for Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Libraries for going on 9 years now. Worked all over the system. I'm very excited to come here and be a part of the new branch and this wonderful community. So just a few things about the library. I've already spoken to my friend over here, Sam. We do a lot of fun stuff in the summer. So if you have kiddos in your life, if you work with kids, you're just interested in knowing what we do with kids in the library, a lot of that revolves around Discover Summer. So I'm going to date myself here, but when I was young, you know, it was all about the bookmark where you just kind of checked off how many books you read, and that's wonderful. And we still have that as a part of our program, but a lot of it is also about encouraging discovering and venturing, creating, trying new things, and really trying to nip that summer slide in the bud. So we have packets for every single kid who comes into our building, 0 to 18 years old. We do I brought just one calendar. I should have brought more. All of this is online as well, but we do programs almost every single day for kids. We also have our free meals for youth on weekdays from 2 to 3 p.m. That's a service that we're very proud of. A few other things. Obviously, we had a bit of a transition with the new building, and then Mr. Terry has moved on to Blue Ash, and we miss him dearly already. But we are going to be focusing on adding more adult programming in the late summer, early fall. So as Sergeant Seller said, I want to hear from you as well. So there's a program, just something you've been dying to see or you want, or you think there's a need for in the community. I would love to hear it. I'm all ears. I don't have business cards yet because I'm in my 3rd week, but you can always email the branch. Our email is on our website, or you can just stop by, say hi, love to meet you. The last little point I have is that similar to the rec center, we're going to be closed this Monday in observance of the Juneteenth holiday. But if anyone has any quick questions, I'm more than happy to take them.
With the parking in the back of the building, if someone's using that party room there, it would make it a lot easier for anyone, because I had the same situation, or new people coming in, not knowing that the only entrance is on the Wetzel side of the building. So if for that back party room, if there could be signage created, to let people know that the main entrance is on the Wetzel side of the building.
Thank you for that comment. There has been a lot of confusion around that. And so we are working to make some signage on that community room door back there. However, there is a rear entrance for anyone to use off of the parking lot. And it's also not very well marketed is not the right word. We're working on wayfinding there. So we are going to have window clings installed hopefully by, well, I'm hoping by the end of the month, but probably more likely in July. But if you ever have any issues finding the building, we still get people calling, say, I'm in front of your yellow building and you're not open. So feel free to call us and we can help direct you. And with those parking spots, there's been some confusion as well because they say reserved, but that was verbiage used by Matamore and Ackerman. That's not library verbiage that we necessarily approved. So it means reserved for folks using the library. Any other questions?
Terry's getting his steps in tonight. There are bike racks, 3 that face Prentice that are not used, but the kids use the handicap access at the front and the rear of the building. Would you, I'm asking if you will ask your landlord to move those 3 bike racks to the front and rear, near the front and rear entrances. 1, so they will be used, and 2, so that the handicap access is accessible.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, Ann. I don't think that, I mean, I only last week realized that they were actually bike racks. So I can definitely reach out to Ackerman and see what they can do about that. We are trying to proactively, redirect kids to park their bikes elsewhere. And of course, that takes a little bit of time sometimes, but yes, thank you.
And one more in the back.
Question. Can you get me a list of how many kids don't have bike locks? Because I know that's been also a barrier. They're just leaving them because they don't have a place to lock them up. If you can find out for me or the staff, if you can keep kind of a running total, we'll get them some bike locks.
Yeah, and we do have bike locks that are available for checkout. You do need a library card for that. So sometimes that's a barrier, but I'll look into that, Kate. Thanks. Anyone else? Thank you all so much. I hope to see you, at the library.
All right, Brian. Next up is Brian Cervisi, our service area coordinator for the Community Recreation Commission. Nice visual title. So close. Yes.
All right, whoa. Stand all the way back here. Clearly, I have a deeper and louder voice than other people that were speaking. So our summer's going. We've got over 60 people, kids in our summer day camp. We capped it at 60. We have a huge waiting list. We did take a few extras just because we could because of vacations and whatnot. The pool opened on Monday. We had 83 people there. In the earlier part of the day, then once day camp left, there was hardly anybody there. So if you'd like to keep it open forever and ever and ever, then you need to start visiting it. Because today, after the kids from the rec center left, there was like 3 people in the pool. And I heard every single person in this room say that they want the pool open for the past 3 years, but I have yet to see any of you in there. So not that I want to see you in a bathing suit, not that you want to see me in a bathing suit, but I do want to see you hanging out at the pool and stuff like that, because that's really what drives the choices that we make in recreation as to what's going to stay open in the future and whatnot is based on attendance. Numbers drive. So show up, please. The last thing that I have, unless anybody has anything for me, is that we're redoing the basketball courts in the next couple of weeks. So they will be shut down in the next couple of weeks. The concrete's getting repaired. We're putting all new backboards in, all new posts and whatnot. And because of that, we got to, fix the concrete, hang the new basketball poles and whatnot. So it'll be closed for a couple of weeks.
Last Saturday, they had an event at Bramble at the top. First of all, it's beautiful what the city has done up there at the upper part of Bramble.
Yeah.
And I think you need to bring some pictures in here.
Well, it's not done yet.
Please,
It's not done yet.
it's not done yet.
And yeah, we're going to have a big community event and that'll be next week.
Okay, well, I'm glad you mentioned that. But last Saturday, there was an event there. It was a nice event, but I seen about 10 cars parked up at the top lot. And then later on during the day, I went by and it was maybe 5. So I know they're probably driving up the hill.
Mhm.
Like I brought up before, it's a nice area up there, but people are they got to get cars. In some way, we got to get cars. We got to get cars up there.
You mentioned that last month.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But what they're doing is they're driving on the grass.
Mhm.
And then we didn't have any rain for a while, so I'm kind of concerned with catalytic converters and, we get a dry spell, you could cause a fire, but, and then there's safety issues too, so.
Yep.
it's
Well,
something you need to.
here's the deal. It wasn't a sanctioned event. It was just a pop-up event with people from the neighborhood showing up. So it's on the people that utilize the space when there's not a active event that we're hosting to follow the rules and use common sense and not drive illegally. Yeah, I'm not going to have a staff person sitting at Bramble 24/7.
How, if you want to use the upper shelter, like, is it first come, first served? You need to reserve it?
First come, first served. And as far as the access to the key, I've had several people, including Carrie, several times have called me up. We have a key, go unlock it, and people can park up there, drive up there safely and appropriately versus illegally.
My thoughts all signed
Yes,
back.
ma'am.
Just a question about the new basketball hoops. Are they going to be adjustable height or are they just? a
Yeah, they're the
standard?
exact same ones that we put in at Bramble.
Okay, nice. And then do we have like a league or anything to utilize those, or is it just show up and
Well, the
play?
guy I saw at Wingstop yesterday told me he wanted to run a league, so we'll see. I'm gonna wait till everything's installed before we start programming at it. Because this was supposed to happen in October of last year. So, until it's in the ground and we're free to utilize it, we're not gonna be programming, and we'll leave it. For the most part though, no, we'll do the leagues inside and outside will be for open play. Because it's hard, you gotta worry about weather, whether it's too hot, whether it's rainy, whether it's too sunny and people can't see, or too cold, too hot, So inside where it's air conditioned and heated, we'll try to do the leagues there and keep the outside for the community just to use whenever.
I have a question for you. For the pool, does it help if people buy the membership, you physically need people there, or is it more about the memberships that who's paying and signing up to use the pool?
Well, the reality is it's both. When they look at numbers, they're gonna look at the numbers and they're gonna compare all the pools. They're gonna look at total memberships at each pool. They're gonna look at attendance at each pool, and they're gonna say, this is valued this might be valued by the community, but it's underutilized. So what, and then that's a marketing thing then. If everyone's got memberships and people aren't coming, then, you know, so it'll help us out in general. So yes, having those additional memberships will help, but attendance is gold. Yes, Mrs. Dex.
A lot of times when they open the pool, they have some special things for the kids who can't afford what's going on. They have them, if they attend so many times and pay the first something, they'll get a free membership. Do you know if they're gonna do that this year?
I don't know. That's based on donations and whatnot. And most of the donations that were for earmarked for Madisonville went to kids to utilize the center because we didn't know the pool was going to open until late. So, and that money dried up for this summer already. So unless it was earmarked, so Aquatics might have had something earmarked for their entire department, and then they might divvy it out to the pools. But as of right now, I'd be $20 richer if kids had money or some other way of paying for it.
Okay,
But I've
all right.
bought 5 kids memberships,
okay.
for dailies, not memberships. Oh, that's 30 a piece. I don't have that kind of money. Anything else?
What are the pool hours?
Open swim is 1 to 6, 1 to 7. It's open for, I mean, from 6 to 7, it's open for swim lessons on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think. But it's 1 to 6, and then they have swim team and other kind of swim lessons and stuff in the morning before that. And they do their training and stuff. They have to do so many laps every day. All the lifeguards do to maintain their certification. So that's why if you see them in early and you see the lifeguard swimming, they have to keep up their strokes for their certification.
Fees for non-Cincinnati residents, like my grandchildren.
Same. The city of Cincinnati is unique because it's so, and I talked to a police officer friend of mine, he said, because they base everything on the amount of people that live here, but there's over 1 million people that visit Cincinnati on a daily basis. So it's hard to tell for us who lives where and who's being honest, especially for kids and people that don't have IDs. So we don't differentiate with in and out of city residents.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next up, we have a special presentation from the Cincinnati Health Department. Go ahead, if you want. Yeah, I can drive for you over here. Okay, can everybody hear me? Right on. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Mark Minkhouse. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Cincinnati Health Department. I am joined by 2 of my colleagues this evening, Dr. Geneva Good, who is our COO, and Ryan Baumgartner, who's one of our RNs. We're here tonight to talk to you mostly about new signage at our local health center here, but I'll take the opportunity to give you a brief overview about what we do and who we are. So the Cincinnati Health Department is obviously a department of the city of Cincinnati. We do the types of things that you would normally associate with a public health entity, like tracking public health data, doing vaccinations, doing health inspections. But aside from that, something that makes us unique is that we have an entire network of health centers, and those health centers are spread out across the city. We have 6 community health centers, 13 school-based health centers, and 1 standalone dental clinic. The local health center that you guys have here in your community is the Braxton F. Can Memorial Health Center. That's been there for a while, and in that location, you can get medical services, dental, there's a pharmacy, OBGYN services, lab services, and there's even a WIC office offering all kinds of services to the community that can seek that out. Just like was said with the recreation services, we do not differentiate by the location of your residence, so we're open to anyone who wants to seek out services. We accept commercial insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera. The primary reason for my being here tonight is because the front of our building has changed. This is what it used to look like. It used to have a green frontage on it and have a really ugly sign. I put that in there just for reference. That's the baseline. That's what we're going to beat that. Okay, we're going to make it look better than that. This is the logo I have to work with. So this is the City of Cincinnati's primary care logo. It looks pretty nice on paper. When we tried to put that up on the silver front of the building, it looked less good. So we thought the best way to do this would be to run some renderings and then bounce it off of you guys, the community council, to tell us what you like. I'll tell you what I like, and maybe we'll open up a conversation. So this is the first one. This shows all the lettering is to the left side. And the city logo looks pretty big down there at the bottom, almost too big, we thought. So we tried to make it smaller. And that looks terrible. No, it's just not my favorite. One of the things that we are going to stick with is that we're calling it the Memorial Health Center, not the Memorial Medical Center. We have decided on that. But the last image shows the Braxton F. Can name stretched all the way across instead of being over to one side. So we got some things going on here, and it's all aesthetic. It's the size of the text. It's the color of the text. Is it visible? Can you see it? The size of the logo, etc. This last image, I think, is probably the best image in my opinion, but we want feedback from the community because it does make a difference. Braxton F. Can was a doctor who lived here in Madisonville. He was the first African-American doctor who was on the board of Cincinnati General Hospital, which is now UC Hospital, and he was a major advocate for civil rights during the civil rights movement. He joined our Board of Health in 1966, I believe. So he's a major player in the health department's history as well. So that's why this is a Memorial Health Center for Braxton F. Can. The only other thing that I'll say before I forget to do so is that we brought folders tonight, and the folders, if you haven't already picked one up, they have lots of information, not just the pictures here from this presentation, but all kinds of information about the health centers, what they provide, how to access services. And if you're not already one of our patient users, you should seriously consider it. So with that, I'm interested in any feedback. What do you guys think of our signs? Are there any questions or comments, preferences? Okay, so Austin first.
I think the light blue is like an interesting color, but maybe like the darker blue, that's like the City of Cincinnati logo, is more like long-term option. Like maybe that's a good color now, but maybe not in 5 years. And then I think adding, if we can add like a flat panel background to it, so it's not slatted in the back, would make it more legible so it doesn't look like it's redacted. And then having primary care be the smallest font and matching the color of the building makes it difficult to acknowledge it as a primary care facility. So if we could emphasize that text in some way. I understand that that's the logo, but it's a thought.
That's great. That's great. Remember, guys, I'm a money guy. I'm the CFO. This is not my cup of tea. We're just trying to get a sign on there. So I love this. This is great. Thank you.
Having been in the sign business a long time ago, the darker color against the white will show up much better from the street. I don't know how far it is from the street, but it's far enough that for ADA accessibility and signage, whatever, it does need to be darker. And so I second or third or whatever she said. When the new frontage was put onto that shopping mall, the generally held view in our community was that it was Ackerman who had left out Braxton Can in the signage. Would you clarify that for us as to who was responsible for leaving Braxton Can off of the signage?
I do not know the answer to that question, and I don't have that information available. Yeah, the tenant's usually responsible for the signage, which is, you know, it comes back to, we've got an opportunity here. We want to make sure we get it right. Yeah, it may have been one of our predecessors at the health department who I could not say.
I love the third option. I love how big it is. So like everyone's saying, with it being off the street as far as it is, it's hard to see it. So I remember when they changed the sign when I was younger and they made the letters bigger for cans and you could see it unless you were like, I'd be in the parking lot going to Family Dollar, looking and be like, where's the health center? Oh, there it is. But then on the corner, I'm like, oh, there it is, but I can see it. I also agree with the color scheme suggestion. I feel like the dark blue would be way better long-term and in the beginning, instead of just saying we're gonna do teal and then switch it. I feel like we should just have it be the dark blue so that it's really prominent so you can see that is there.
Gotcha.
And I don't know about everybody else, but I appreciate having his entire name spelled out. So everyone knows that he was a part of Madisonville.
I can add to that and say that even before we got to this point, we presented in front of our own boards, our governing boards. There was a lot of discussion about the way the name was displayed, making sure it said memorial. So yeah, those are high priorities to our leadership too. Just to clarify, is any of the signage going to be lighted, like internally or otherwise? No, I don't believe so. Okay. At least not from the sign itself.
Like how basically visibility at night.
That was my question. Second, is it possible just to put the city's logo and not City of Cincinnati? Because it sort of kind of takes away from Braxton Ham, in my opinion. We know it's the City of Cincinnati up here. It might have to be there, but just the actual C, maybe. That is City of Cincinnati.
Okay, yeah, that's something we can explore, sure. Sorry for stealing your question. Going back here.
To be that person, I actually really like the blue.
Okay.
So often our city buildings, because they're very old and historic buildings, things tend to be dated. They feel kind of oppressive when you walk in. A lot of our health clinics, outside of the amazing staff that we have, having some place where you come in, you see the vibrant sign, it feels fresh, it feels new, actually makes it a place that to me, it almost gives it a fresh perspective, fresh branding. Just my thoughts.
Okay, any other hands that I missed, chance? I think that's it. All right, well, thank you. I really do appreciate all the feedback, guys. Yep, thank you for coming out. How long would it take for it to be installed? Yeah, or is there a timeline of any kind? We don't have a definite timeline. Realistically, we have to go back to our sign designer and get a new rendering, and then we'll go through a process of certifying funds, issuing a purchase order, and then scheduling installation. I'd say we're probably a couple months out. I'd love to trim that down as much as we can, but realistically, maybe 2 months.
Started renovating that space. They said that there would be a community space in there for meetings. Is that still true or no?
Yes, there is a space. It is, when you're facing the building, it's just to the left of the main doors. So there are, it's like a separate store frontage. It's got a separate entrance. There is a community conference room there, presentation, style monitors, et cetera. Good question. I kept forgetting to bring that up. All right. I think that's the end of our public administration announcements. We'll move into the board reports. Folks, that's all typed up in the packet. The only thing that I want to point out for folks is that the city just passed the budget, the 2-year budget. And so our community budget requests were in there in the capital budget. And so that's also that response was good for us. And that is in the packet for you to review. We also had, you'll see the meeting minutes from the first traffic study for the Madison Road project. That second meeting is going to be at Gaines. And that survey that we had online is still available. There's a copy of the survey in this as well, in case you haven't filled it out or know somebody who isn't going to be online. And we'll have a meeting here on Wednesday, the 21st, with the Transportation Committee. So if you have any questions about that process, we can talk about it there. You can turn in a paper copy if you know of anybody, et cetera. So that'd be Wednesday here at the Rec Center. I do have to publicly acknowledge Mike Ty. So you may have noticed there's an issue with the foraging garden between Erie, Brotherton, and Red Bank. So he took the time to mow the lawn. Long story short, there's some miscommunication over responsibility of that parcel, but to be clear, it is owned by the city of Cincinnati, but they have a maintenance agreement with the Civic Garden Center. And they provide resources to start a community garden, but the maintenance is on volunteers. So little mixed up, but basically right now, nobody is responsible for the maintenance of it. So if you or anybody would like to help out at this point, really the only maintenance that's required is to mow the grass. I feel like Mike, you got a question about that?
Karen, who is the person that was a founding person that he wants to come to the meeting and be on the agenda next month. She got some volunteers from Groundworks, I think it's called. And as a high school group, I don't know if that's going to work or not. But we need to find a solution as a community, as a gateway to our community. And that's why I took it upon myself to cut it. And I also cut the day down on Plainville Road and Madison, just because the city, we got a problem with the city. They don't want to cut these right-of-ways. It looks like crap all along these right-of-ways and road corridors. So we need to address this in our do we have a beautification committee? But I think we need to look at that foraging gardens and maybe get another name called Dunbar Park or something. We need to look at some other options. I know there's liability issues, but I think it's something we need to look at as a community. But to let it go the way it was not the way we want to present ourselves to people traveling through our neighborhood.
So, yeah, so I've been talking to all the stakeholders, including Groundwork, and they're probably gonna have a work group come out to do some tree trimmings and stuff like that. But I know they did tell me that they will not sign on to do the long-term maintenance for it. Also, you guys may have heard CPS is looking at buying the Bramble School. It's kind of complicated right now. It's moving very quickly. They did send me a statement. As a result of a growing community and expanding needs in the Madisonville area, Cincinnati Public Schools is currently closing on the purchase agreement to acquire the former Bramble Elementary School building and property across from Bramble Park. Once the purchase agreement is finalized in the coming weeks, CPS will host community engagement and families to continue to deliver quality public education to the Madisonville community. Enrollment will begin in July as the school will open fall 2023 to serve pre-K students. That's the official word. I do want to give a shout out that all of the CP, a local school decision making committee. So, and it does need 3 community members and 3 parents on those. Like John B. Parker already has one. Mr. Schroeder has one. So if you're interested in volunteering, please let our education chair, Kate, know. I think
Okay, so they're moving to purchase in July? Or what are they doing in July?
Okay, is there anybody from CPS here? Is there a way we can get somebody here? Okay.
To follow on that. Okay, I'm gonna pass it over. I'm gonna put her on the spot, put Kate on the spot for that authorization vote. Yeah, that way I can stop talking and we can break this up a little bit and then you can, yeah.
Oh. So we got a grant for Tuesdays at the Park. We've already accepted the check for $4,500. We just thought we should ask if it's okay if we spend it for Tuesdays in the Park, which is what we wrote the grant for. So we're asking for a motion. Oh, so, yeah, I'm always yelling at people to use the mic, right? So we're asking for authorization to use the $4,500 for Tuesdays at the Park. So if we could, I'm sorry. We got a grant. We got a private grant for Tuesdays in the Park for $4,500. We're basically just asking for it to be okay to use the grant for the Tuesdays at the Park programming.
So, yeah, so just need to have approval to spend the money. So is there a motion on the floor? Okay, from Mike Ty, do I have a second? Yeah, Monica, thank you. All right, so, okay. So by show of hands, yeah, you said there, thank you. By show of hands, how many yeses do I have? All right, I'll go left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, lower your hands. By a show of hands, are there any no's? No. And by show of hands, are there any abstentions? Okay. It's 20. I say 20. Good thing we're recording. Okay. All right. So if there's any other committee chairs, any other announcements, I think you guys, education, you're working on supply drive, right? Yeah.
So we've got a couple of events that are coming up. So Tuesdays in the Park will be 2 weeks from last Tuesday. We are working with the rec center to do an adult swim night here at the end of June. We're looking at ticket to entry will be to bring a supply for our kids for the schools. We're partnering with the Mad Jeep Club. We're going to be doing a school supply drive starting on the 29th all the way through August 3rd. So we'll have pop-ups at all of our events throughout the summer. So we can get these supplies out to these kids come August 5th. We're also then working to partner with the rec center to do a end of the summer. Yay, we got our pool open. Let's keep those memberships coming in on August 5th. So we'll keep you guys posted as more details come available. Yes, we will have that list out this weekend.
Yeah, they're working on a flyer that'll have the list of suggested supplies.
Just wanted to know which schools will be supported.
Our neighborhood schools, so just like we've done in the past, kids come up and they get a bag of supplies. We're not going to ask them what school they go to. They're in the neighborhood, they need the supplies, we get them to them.
Okay, because you're not working through the school resource officer. It's just any kid at any school lives in Madisonville.
We've done it every year for 2 days in the park. We give them out the last Tuesdays of the park. So we're just going to do a slightly different. We won't do it at 2 days of the park. We'll do it at our end of the summer community day. They just come get a bag.
Okay. I do know that beautification committee is working on a cleanup next Saturday, the 24th. I know Miss Tony is also working on organizing painting the benches and the planters for the youth community council. And we have one other thing, Monday, the 26th, the housing committee is looking at that date to meet again. So if you're interested, she'll contact everybody in the previous meetings, but if you're interested in that, let Alicia know at housing@ourmadisonville.com. And I think that's about it. I will move on to agency announcements. Artsville, do you have anything you wanted to? You do? All right.
Thank you.
Artsville is very busy this summer. We're excited about all the things that are going on. We've got a film camp coming in about 2 weeks, and that will last for a 2-week period with our kids. We've also got a financial literacy session that will come in late in July. Vaudeville will be in there on the 15th of July. We also have our next poetry slam also coming up. The Symphony Orchestra will be doing their MAC Awards there at Artsville also at the end of July. Keep an eye on our Facebook for that, and you'll get to see all the details. On August 19th, we just kind of confirmed it not 2 hours ago. That's our date. We don't have our name yet, but there will be an event here in Madisonville. We'll be contacting many of you to participate. We're looking for pretty much a day-long event, and lots of good things are going to occur. So keep that date open for us, and you'll be reaching out. Keep an eye on the Facebook, and also watch hopefully the Community Council website as well as the Business Chamber website for more details. Thank you.
Thank you. Business Chamber, do you guys have any announcements? Okay.
Very quickly, the Business Chamber is sponsoring a networking evening event at the Madison Lounge located on Bramble Avenue. We will have small bite appetizers. If you're a member, we will pay for your first drink. Other than that, you pay for your own, but it would be great for the neighborhood to come out and see, just have a probably networking, so you know that corner and understand the stuff that the chamber does promote and do.
Okay, with that, move to the business portion of the agenda. So first up is the old business. Last month, Allison gave a notification of a proposed bylaws change. You need me to throw anything up on the screen?
There we go. So last month, we proposed the addition of a sustainability committee to the Madisonville Community Council, and we provided you with a overview of why we needed a sustainability committee, some of the proposed standing rules that we suggest, as well as the formal notification of the revision suggestion to the bylaws. And we're here to answer any questions you guys have today.
Okay. We do a motion to open discussion. Yeah, so we have a motion to open discussion and seconded by Pete. Is that your hand up? Yeah, to have discussion about it, right? Yeah, motion to create the sustainability committee so we can discuss the item. Okay, so Ann is 1, Kate is 2. Okay. All right, so what questions are there? I guess, oh yeah.
Why is there, and this might be more of a question for you than you, why isn't this under beautification? Because you got a lot of committees. Probably don't need to be here. Adding another one, and you consolidate some of this?
Yeah, so we and Allison had talked this through, and there's 2 reasons. One, kind of her expertise and experience was catered more towards this more specifically, and the goals of the committee is more specifically to this as opposed to any of the existing ones. It would be kind of like a square peg, round hole kind of situation. Because beautification is not, this is a little bit larger than beautification. That's more of like a cleanup events and make things look as opposed to sustainability is more about a larger kind of issues.
Yeah, sustainability is certainly beautification falls under sustainability, but sustainability is green infrastructure, education on climate change, composting, gardens. It's lots of things. And the city of Cincinnati has a 600-page document called the Green Cincinnati Plan that has all sorts of different initiatives, and we want to implement those initiatives here in Madison. And so that's our guiding document.
Hi, isn't a lot of that already being done in Madisonville through the garden, through some of the other stuff? And I would agree that you've got to add another committee. And if this is something you guys are already doing, and obviously it is, why are you not just this standalone organization like some of these others that are out here with the gardens and things? Why would you come in trying to change bylaws and change standing rules and change what the council looks like so that it fits your perception of what we think it ought to be?
So sustainability has been shown as a primary initiative for the city of Cincinnati. And I thought was thinking that we should mimic that as a priority for our neighborhood. We're not currently doing any sustainability actions other than just like our normal everyday lives. But we do have plans. And once we become a formal committee, then we'll start acting on them. And also a big part of the committee will be working with those organizations that are already doing a lot of work in Madisonville, really shining sustainability as a thing, a concept here in Madisonville, and collaborating with them and helping make sure that they reach the community and have a voice on the community council as well. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Okay, I thought that No, well, the Green Cincinnati Plan is defined by the city, yes. And so I'm not a part of an organization. I'm just a resident of Madisonville that's interested in starting a sustainability committee.
So like the Green Cincinnati Plan is adopted by the city of Cincinnati, and there's an Office of Environmental Sustainability, but that is a resource. It's a kind of like a pull, not a push, right? So it's a resource that exists for communities to go to, but it's not the city pushing it to anyone. So why not go into an existing committee? Because the other ones don't match the intended goal of this committee. Yeah.
This is kind of along the line of the foraging garden that I don't know if people realize what's down there. They have pear trees, people can walk down there and pick fruits, and it's, if you're going to take this on, which I would wholeheartedly support if you're going to jump on to help us down there, which is probably should be right along the line of what you're talking about. But if it's not, then we're just kind of spinning our wheels and we just put it in still. So.
I think we're interested in hearing what the community is interested in doing. So we'll have committee meetings.
And I think that's actually a good point, because the foraging garden, the greenhouse on Chandler, the garden on Chandler, like those are not community council projects. And the foraging garden, for example, was intentionally designed to be permaculture. So that is an example of trying to make coordination that a sustainability committee could be doing. It's like what kind of other examples of what you could be doing actively? Yeah.
Yeah, so we haven't identified any projects intentionally because we wanted to represent what the community is interested in. But we put forward the Green Cincinnati Plan as an example of numerous projects that are sustainability related that are backed by the city currently. So on the handout, I picked a few as an example. If you look at example initiatives, apologize for the small font. So engage community members on the impact of dietary choices on climate change, environment, and health. Elevate the benefit of plant-based options. Support business owners and the startup community to build and enact market solutions to address environmental issues with a focus on women and minority enterprises. Partner with local workforce investment board, education institutes, employers, county, state, and more to amplify equity-focused green workforce training and career pathways. Those are some initiatives, but there's hundreds. So one of the first things I'd like to do is have the city come and present the Green Cincinnati Plan to us. So everybody that's a member of the committee and anyone who's interested can hear it formally presented by the people who wrote it.
And like you just said about the Cincinnati green going green, one thing, I'm here to tell you one thing, half of the people in here, including all the folks here all over this city, are not in favor of this going green thing, ma'am. Because like been said, I understand they trying to put these electric cars, but think about this. Electric cars is not going to help resolve these issues we're facing in this city. The only way we're going to help get things green is to help keep a lot of these cars off the road and everything, to stop a lot of this pollution. I don't care how much thing we go green. That's not going to help resolve the issues we're facing in this nation. In some places, even the apartment buildings, people that rent apartment buildings, the managers that own these apartment buildings are not going to put those battery chargers for these electric cars. No. And majority, because when an electric car in the wintertime, if the battery gets frozen, then what? You can't even start the car. So to me, I really don't think it's worth it to me. But I understand that we need to make some progress around here. And I'm willing to work with you, and I totally agree with these people in this building here.
I believe if we don't take care of our earth right now, our grandchildren aren't going to have an earth worth living in. So I think we need to turn around and look at sustainability as a way of life and not just pie in the sky. It's not going to happen this year. We've been putting off sustainability issues since I was a child, which was a few years ago. And it's time that we do something, and we as a community do something about it.
Do you believe that this committee would help foster investment in the neighborhood in terms of any new businesses, any grant money coming in to help climate change, education, any green initiatives?
Yeah, I personally believe that would be the outcome. I'm interested in pursuing grant funding for programs. I'm interested in education series for residents. I'm interested in lots of things, but really avoided going down the rabbit hole of defining what the committee looked like until it was a committee, because I wanted to leave that open to the committee. I didn't want it just be representative of me and the three people who helped with this journey. So.
Do you think having this committee will get some of that?
Absolutely, yes. I have already had meetings with people across the city and people are excited and I let them know we're working on it. It's not official. And so I'll touch base with you if it is, but yeah.
Yes, I heard you talk about the different things that you wanted to do. I heard you say something about the business people, which is connected to the group that Terry and them do. Have you met with the business chamber about the things you're, okay, and then you were talking about healthy things and stuff like, have you met with any of with the garden people to see what they need? This is my thing, you're gonna build this committee to address those things, but we have committees for. So if you, unless you meet with them, how would you do this? That's my only question. Because we have a lot of the stuff out here that you're talking about, you'd like to improve in that. We have committees for that. So unless you meet with them individually, you won't really know what our need is.
I absolutely agree. I think collaborating with the organizations that already exist in the community is a big part of this. And we're representation of those initiatives for the community council. And so they're not currently a part of the community council, but we want to collaborate with them. And not just in Madisonville, across the whole city of Cincinnati. Yes, so collaboration with other committees. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I think a big part of this is certainly collaborating with the other committees. Sustainability is a very broad concept, and I'm sure there's a lot of room to collaborate there.
Thank you for coming. So I'm hearing, sorry, I cannot figure out what to do with this mic. So I'm hearing a lot of questions from the community around having additional discussions and planning and maybe having some more concrete action steps. I'm wondering if we have a motion to table this discussion and maybe you come back next month after having some of those discussions and then maybe we can do the vote then. I don't know if that's like a formal motion or how we want to do that. Can I get some head nods? Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion to. Well, what I don't want to happen is them to get voted down now and not be able to come back. Amend the motion? Yeah.
Motion to table the Yes. Want the membership to have more time to consider the question under discussion, and you want to postpone it to a definite time or day and have it come up for further consideration. After recognition, postpone the question until blank. Postpone definitely. I move to move the question until next one.
Is everyone enjoying their Robert's Rules session right now?
Okay, let's all do this. You will.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. We're requesting any final questions. Okay, so I move to postpone this question until to the July general body meeting.
Is there a second? Eight seconded. Okay. Okay, so by show of hands, how many yeses do I have to postpone, to table the item and postpone discussion until the next meeting? Go from my left, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, thank you. By show of hands, how many noes do I have? I've seen none. And then by show of hands, how many abstentions are there? I see 3. I see 3. Okay, so that's 12, 0, 3. All right, sorry. Better luck next time. Okay. All right, next item was the other proposal for the bylaws change to, I guess, convert the correspondence secretary to membership clerk, which would take effect at the next meeting or next election. Okay, there's a point of order asking for quorum. Okay.
Yeah, it's not my word.
Nice.
That made that good, right? That's what I heard.
No, I got it. I'm counting that, okay? Back up. Back.
All right, sorry about that, everyone. Hey. Yes, sorry about that. Okay, so we currently have 7 board members present and we require 4 to have quorum. And we have 14 active members present. We require 15. However, Melissa has effectively immediately resigned as membership chair, bringing us to 15 members and 6 board members. So, all right, so the next item on the business portion of the agenda . So, all right, would you like to present? Okay, so. Okay, Mike, Mike Ty is left, so, all right. We can. Okay, yeah. So. All right, we no longer have quorum, so, all right, we cannot conduct business. At this point, we can end the meeting or skip to announcements. Are you motioning something? So would we like to move to announcements? We'll move to announcements. We can't run anything. We can't conduct business. So we'll move to announcements. Does anybody have any announcements for the group?
Well, that was fun, everyone. I feel like I took us down a dark hole with Robert's rules. I just wanted to introduce myself to anyone who I haven't met. I seem to know everyone's face, but my name is Anna Albee. I am running for city council. I'm also your Madisonville recording secretary. So I will be on the ballot in November 7th. So please, I ask for your support. In addition, I'd like to highlight that there is a special election happening on August 8th on issue 1. So I will try to give you the simplest explanation I can of issue 1. So today, if there's a citizen-led initiative
to amend our Ohio Constitution, we only need 51% of the vote, a simple majority to make changes. So, for example, you might be familiar with the reproductive rights ballot initiative that's going on. Today, we only need 51% of the vote to pass that and turn that into our Ohio Constitution. This issue 1 election that's happening on August 8th would change that threshold from 51 to 60%, which is very high and very tough, and is specifically designed to keep us, the citizens, from being able to amend our own Ohio Constitution. So I encourage all of you to go out and vote on August 8th. I encourage you to vote no on issue 1, because we as citizens deserve to have the power over our own Constitution, and we shouldn't leave it to politicians who are trying to prevent us from, using our voting rights. So that's one announcement there. And then the last one is, if anyone has not signed the reproductive rights ballot initiative, I have it on me, and I'm willing to be there at the end of this for you to sign. Thank you.
Does anybody else have announcements for the group? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn? Josh, nice, and seconded by Monica. Thanks everybody for coming out.
No, because. No. Oh, it is.